The skies above Earth turned dark, not from clouds, but from ships. Massive, silent, cold ships. The first one appeared above New York City, blocking the sun like a giant shadow. Then came more over London, Tokyo, Moscow, and Cape Town. Didn't shoot. They didn't need to. All global networks went dark. Satellites went blind. Phones died. For 2 full minutes, the world was silent. Then, a calm voice echoed across every device, every speaker, every ear. It spoke in every known language. You are surrounded. You will not be harmed. Accept peace. Accept service. Children cried. Adults froze. Planes were grounded. The armies of the world waited for orders, but there were none. These were the Dominion, a name found later in hidden data drops across the web. They had taken over 12 other civilizations before Earth. No war. No blood. Just a cold, unstoppable arrival and quiet surrender. They were not monsters. They were worse. They were efficient. In Washington, leaders argued behind closed doors. The president stared at the giant ship above them on the screen. Maybe we can talk, one advisor said. Talk? Another snapped. We have no voice left. They shut down our satellites. A general slammed his hand on the table. We surrender, and we become slaves. Quiet, obedient slaves. Someone whispered, we don't even know what they want. In Beijing, Moscow, Paris, and Delhi governments face the same choice. Some lean toward peace, some lean toward panic. But no one talked about resistance, except for one place, a forgotten base buried under the Alaskan ice. There, deep below the frost, a woman named Commander Celine Ward sat alone in front of a dusty control panel. She wore no uniform. Just as simple. Coat and gloves. She'd been waiting for this. Old screens flickered to life. Lights blinked red. She whispered 3 words. Activate Project Ember. Far above, the Varn watched Earth in silence. They expected fear. They expected surrender. That's what always came next. But then something strange happened. A signal burst from Earth's upper atmosphere. Not a communication. Not a message. It was stronger than that. A pulse. It struck one of the Varn ships. Just a harmless tap of energy. But inside their systems, something shifted. Something burned. The Varn ship backed away slightly. On Earth, news cameras showed it live. The people watching gasped. Did they just move? The ship moved. For the first time, one of the Varn vessels shifted its position off balance. Unsure, the calm voice returned. You have used a forbidden signal. Cease now. Surrender will still be accepted. But underground, in the Alaskan base, more lights turned on. Massive vaults unlocked. Robotic arms began moving. Old files labeled. Human protocol. Ember class blinked on screen. Celine's eyes stayed cold. Her voice never shook. Send the second warning. Above, another pulse launched into space. This one faster. Sharper. The ship over New York sparked, once then powered down. Not destroyed. Not attacked. But shut off. It dropped slowly into the ocean like a whale going to sleep. The Varn Dominion panicked. They had never seen this before. They had taken hundreds of planets, but never one that answered with fire. And Earth finally woke up. From hidden bunkers to sealed vaults, ancient. Technologies hummed to life, things the public never knew. Weapons hidden for generations. Systems built not for enemies of Earth, but for enemies of everything. Project Ember was not just a weapon. It was a plan, a promise. And now it had begun. Final hook. End of part 1. The woman in Alaska stepped into the command chamber. Lights flared. Symbols lit up. And one massive machine, the size of a building, opened its core. Inside was something alive. Something not quite human. And as it opened its eyes, It spoke for the first time in 300 years. I am ember. Who must burn? The signal left Earth like a whisper in the dark. That it wasn't a cry for help. That it wasn't a surrender. That it was a trigger meant to wake something hidden far beyond the moon. Something built in secret. Something never tested. And far from Earth, deep. Inside an asteroid belt where no satellites scanned anymore. A metal eye opened dot inside the hollow rock. A hidden station flickered to life. Lights blinked for the first time in 62 years. A reactor hummed, and a cold voice said, Project Ember initiated. Back on Earth, the skies were full of silence. The Varn Dominion hovered like sleeping gods. Their ships didn't fire, didn't speak again. They just waited giant, unmoving, black like night, watching the planet below dot in London. Protests broke out dot in Tokyo. People gathered near temples, whispering prayers dot in New York, where the mothership hung overhead. Everything had stopped. No power, no phones, no drones. Nothing flew without permission from above. Dot military jets scrambled in hidden hangars, but never launched. No one dared fire the first shot. And in Alaska, inside the old underground base where Project Ember had been triggered, the woman who whispered those words stood in front of an ancient, flickering screen. Her name was Dr. Elira Vance. She wasn't a soldier. She was a ghost removed from every government list, dead on paper. But here, underground, she was alive and working. A young technician beside her said, Ma'am, the satellite array's locked. We can't reach the defense grid. Dr. Vance didn't look at him dot. She stared at the countdown now ticking on the screen. 2 hours, 18 minutes, 45 seconds. That was the time left before Earth's last weapon came online. Meanwhile, on the Varn mothership, deep inside its cold metal halls, a tall being stood before a glowing map of Earth. High Commander Sarek of the Varn Dominion. He watched the human cities in silence. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. His voice, though never raised, carried weight like thunder. An officer stepped forward. Commander, no resistance. Earth's nations are confused. Some are already sending peace requests. Sarek nodded slowly. As expected, their history told us this would happen. They are afraid. They are weak. Another officer added, their planet has no real fleet. Their weapons are primitive. Should we begin mass transport to the conversion ships? Sarek turned his head, considering. No, he said. Wait, Commander? He pointed at the upper atmosphere, where one of their ships had picked up something unusual. A pulse. A signal. Sent not as communication, but as command. Something has awakened. In Paris, the president of the European coalition sat inside a hidden war bunker. Around him were the top leaders of every continent connected through old radio lines. The only tech the Varn couldn't shut down. Do we surrender? Asked the African delegate. Do we fight? Said the Asian diplomat. We can't win. Shouted someone else. The American voice came through, clear and firm. Something was activated. Someone in Alaska triggered it. We need time. Just wait. Wait for what? Asked the others. No one had an answer. Back in orbit, the Varn Dominion continued to scan. Their AI minds worked fast. Their algorithms searched Earth's surface, digging for any sign of old weapons, launch signals, orbital defenses. They found none. And yet, Sarek frowned. He had conquered 37 worlds. He had seen fear, panic, and surrender in every species. But humanity, something felt wrong. Their skies were quiet. Too quiet. Their cities did not scream. Their weapons did not fire, but neither did their leaders. Kneel. The humans were waiting. But for what? Far from Earth, deep in space, a single ship drifted forward. It had no crew. Just metal. just code. Its name was Ember 1 Dot, and inside it, something ancient woke up. A mind built by humans, but never used. A ship designed for one purpose: survive extinction. Dot, and now retaliate. The Ember AI opened its eyes. It looked at the stars. It scanned its own systems. Then it asked the question, enemy confirmed? Back. On Earth, in the Alaska base, Dr. Vance spoke clearly into the microphone. Yes. And with that word, Ember 1 changed. Its engines glowed like fire. Its armor heated up. Its weapons unlocked from sleep. And in its cold heart, it remembered everything Earth had taught it, from fire, from war, from every book, every battle, every mistake. Dot, it turned toward Earth, toward the black ships, waiting to conquer. And it whispered one word back through the void: understood. The sun had not yet risen over the mountains of Alaska. Snow blew across the frozen ground like white smoke. Deep underground, inside the hidden base called Site 07, everything was moving fast. Dot, screens lit up. Generators hummed. Men and women in dark uniforms rushed through metal hallways. They were not ordinary soldiers. These were the ones who trained for a war the world hoped would never come. Dot, at the center of it all stood Commander Raina Cole. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with fire. She had waited years for this moment. Behind her, the large holographic map showed Earth surrounded by red dots, the Varn Dominion's ships. All systems online, said a tech officer. Good, Raina nodded. Begin Ember protocol. A second later, across the base, large. Blast doors opened, hidden chambers unlocked, and something old, something built in secret came back to life. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, the Varn ships floated like silent watchers. They still hadn't fired a single weapon, but they didn't need to. Dot, every satellite was offline. Every military communication was jammed. The skies were quiet. The seas were still. Earth had been taken without a fight. On the Varn command ship, High Executor Val Kor watched a live feed of Earth's capital cities. Humans were confused, disconnected. Weak. Dot, he spoke with cold certainty. Humanity will submit, as all others have. The process will be clean. No need for violence. Another Varn officer nodded. Should we begin the broadcast again? Valcor waved his hand. Yes, remind them. Resistance is foolish. In cities across Earth, New York, Tokyo, Moscow, Cape Town, large Varn screens powered on again. A calm female voice spoke in every human language. You are surrounded. You will not be harmed. Accept peace. Accept service. It sounded peaceful, gentle even. But behind the words was a dark truth. Service meant slavery. Peace meant silence. Most people didn't know that. But someone did. Dot, in a bunker beneath the ruins of a forgotten use airfield. An old man lit a cigarette with shaky fingers. He stared at the Varn broadcast on an old TV. You think we're going to just kneel? He whispered. Dot, his name was Marshall Kent. Retired. Forgotten. But not broken. Dot, as the broadcast repeated. A sharp beep echoed from the wall. He looked up. Red light blinked for the first time in 30 years. Dot, Project Ember was live. He stood. He put on his old military coat. It's starting, he said. Back in Alaska, Commander Raina entered the war room. Massive screens showed incoming data. What's the status of the old nodes? She asked. All 3 Ember sites are active. Global communication lines are being rerouted. We'll have a secure channel within the hour, replied the comms. Chief, Raina smiled. How long until the first Ember unit is ready for launch? 4 hours. Make it 2. And prepare the decoys. Let the Varn see the wrong signal. From behind her, a voice spoke. You really think we can win this? It was Dr. Elias Tran, head of the Ember science team. Reyna didn't look back. "I don't know," she said, "but I know one thing. We're not surrendering." 1,000 miles away, in the Varnship's command chamber, red alarms suddenly lit up. Valcor turned sharply. "What is this?" A Varn technician replied, "We're detecting strange activity in Earth's northern polar region. Power spikes. Unidentified transmissions." Valcor narrowed his eyes. "Are they attacking?" "No, but it's not normal." Valcor leaned forward. "Keep watching. If they move, we strike." Far underground, beneath the ice, something massive began to move. Buried in the frozen rock was Ember 1, a machine built in secret, paid for in silence, designed for one purpose: survival through fire. It was not a ship. It was not a bomb. It was something worse. Its eye core lit up with a soft pulse. Ancient systems came online. Weapons locked in place. "Targeting masks online," said a technician. "Stealth shield active. Engine core stable." Reyna stood in front of the main screen, watching every step. "This isn't just a machine," she whispered. "This is a message." Elias looked at her. "A message to who?" Reyna's voice turned cold. "To the stars. To the ones who think Earth is weak." And in deep space, far beyond the moon, something stirred. A signal pulsed through the void short. Sharp, powerful. It wasn't a message of peace. It wasn't a call for help. It was a warning. The first spark had been lit. Humanity was not surrendering. Humanity had chosen fire. The Varn. Dominion didn't fire a single weapon when they arrived, but Earth did. After Project Ember was activated, everything started moving fast. In an old underground base. Beneath the Alaskan ice, Commander Reza stood in front of a long black console. Her fingers hovered above the controls. Around her, the lights flickered. Old machines hummed. The silence was heavy. She turned to the technician beside her. "Is the Ember core stable?" The man nodded. "It's active. But once we launch it, there's no going back." Reza's face was hard. There never was. She gave the order. The first strike came from the most unlikely place: Earth's moon. Hidden beneath its dark side was an ancient rail cannon, something even Earth's own people had forgotten. Built during the early days of Project Ember, it had been silent for decades. Now it woke with a deep rumble. Within seconds, a burst of white-hot energy shot out from the cratered surface, striking the nearest Varn ship above Earth's orbit. Alien ship never saw it coming. One moment, it floated calmly among its fleet. The next, it exploded into bright pieces of molten metal. Around the world, people looked up into the sky in shock. In Paris, a woman screamed. In Cairo, a child pointed to the sky, where smoke trailed across the clouds. In Tokyo, news stations flickered back online with just two words: "We fight." The Varn Dominion responded fast. From their mothership larger than any Earth city, a single voice echoed across the airwaves again: "This is unexpected. Humanity has chosen resistance. You will be corrected." And just like that, the Varn began deploying ground forces. Black, four-legged machines descended from orbit. They hit the ground with thunderous force, one after another. Their legs stabbed into the concrete like spikes, and their glowing blue cores pulsed as they spread across cities. But this time, Earth was ready. Commander Reza wasn't the only one who prepared. In old cities and hidden places, other Ember sites activated. In the Amazon rainforest, a disguised launch tower opened its petals like a metal flower, shooting up a swarm of drone fighters. In the Himalayas, buried deep beneath ice and stone, a rail system came online delivering war mechs, fully automated and ready to fight. And in the Pacific Ocean, something massive rose from the depths. Ship black as night and shaped like a blade broke the surface. Its name lit up in red across its hull: HSV Wrath. The Varn were stunned. Earth was supposed to be weak, divided, unarmed. But this wasn't the Earth they expected. This was Project Ember's Earth, hidden, patient, and ready. In New York, where one of the first Varn walkers had landed, it took only minutes for Ember response units to strike. From the shadows of broken buildings, squads of soldiers outfitted in advanced reactive armor attacked. They used weapons that didn't exist in public records. Guns that hummed with energy. Mines that floated and moved like insects. The Varn walker took several hits. Its shield flared. It returned fire, sending out a wave of force that knocked over entire blocks. But Earth's fighters didn't stop. They climbed the machine, planted charges. One of them, Lieutenant Mason, climbed to the walker's core and smiled. For Earth, he whispered and pressed the detonator. A flash, a boom. The machine toppled, and the city roared. This wasn't surrender. This wasn't panic. This was war. Back in orbit, the Varn adjusted their formation. They began calculating new strategies. But every time they moved, Earth answered faster than expected. We underestimated them, said one of the Varn tacticians. This is not the data we were given. The Varn commander, tall and armored in living metal, stared at the Earth below. They were hiding their strength. Clever, but now pointless. He raised his hand. All forces, escalate. Back on Earth, Commander Reza received the signal. They're coming in harder, her officer said. She didn't blink. Let them. We're not done yet. She turned back to the control board and sent out a code to every Ember site on the planet. Phase 2. Open the vaults. Unknown to the world, even to many Ember operatives, there were deeper secrets. Ancient machines, forbidden weapons, things humanity promised never to use, unless the world was ending. Now Reza had made her choice. If Earth was going to burn, it would burn in fire of its own making. Outside, in the cold sky above Alaska, the clouds began to crackle with strange light, thunder without sound, warning to the stars. Humanity had made its choice, and it had chosen fire. The Varn Dominion had underestimated Earth. Again, out above the clouds, their command ships floated like gods, vast, silent, and watching. But from the dark oceans below, the fire had begun to rise. In the Pacific, strange waves rolled across the water. Not natural, not random. They moved with purpose. Beneath them, something old was rising. Something from deep in the sea. Admiral Kralek of the Varn stared at the data flooding in. Another energy spike, his officer said, voice tight. From Earth's ocean floor. Depth unknown. No signature matches our database. Kralek narrowed his eyes. Send drones now. 10 sleek black drones dove from the sky, piercing the waves like knives. They never returned. The live feeds blinked out one by one. Then the ocean began to glow. On Earth, panic was turning to fury. In the ruins of Shanghai, a group of civilians stood over a Varn scout vessel, broken and torn. The pilot inside was still alive, but scared. A child approached, holding a rock. You said we would not be harmed, the child said softly. But you killed my parents. The Varn pilot did not respond. Its eyes glowed faintly. Its chest pulsed with fear. Across the planet, a shift was happening. Project Ember had not just woken. Ancient weapons. It had awakened something deeper: rage, unity, memory. In Alaska, Commander Reese stood before the central terminal. Around her, Ember protocols flashed red. One word repeated on every screen. Ready. She pressed her palm to the panel. Open the vault. The doors behind her shook. Metal groaned. Ice cracked. A wall slid away to reveal a massive chamber lined with sleeping machines. Old and cold, but one stood in the center. Tall, humanoid. Black armor like obsidian. No face. No weapons visible. Reese whispered. War Form 1, status check. A voice responded, not human, not machine. Confirmed. System integrity, 93%. Combat readiness, full. Reese exhaled. Deploy. Above Earth, the Varn fleet began receiving strange transmissions. Encrypted, pulsing, human, a rhythm. Then a voice. Not a plea. Not a surrender, but a challenge. You came for peace. But your peace is built on chains. So come then, and break your hands upon our fire. Admiral Kralek stared at the screen. What is that? The AI on his ship answered quietly. That is human defiance. Kralek's lips curled in disgust. Crush it. He ordered full occupation. Varn warships began descending all over Earth. Troops moved into cities. They expected surrender. They met. Was resistance. In Paris. Firebombs lit the night. In Cairo. Hacked Varn walkers turned on their own. In Tokyo. A human pilot hijacked an alien dropship and rammed it into a command node. And in the Pacific. The ocean split. A massive shape rose from the deep. Black metal, covered in rust and strange symbols. The world remembered it only in whispers. The asterisk. Titan-class Leviathan, a relic from the last war Earth, was never supposed to survive. Its eyes lit up like suns. The Varn fleet shifted. Some backed away. Others locked weapons. Reese watched from the Ember command station. She gave one final order. Let them see our answer. The Leviathan charged its core. The sky turned red. And from every corner of Earth, the forgotten fire of humanity rose once more. The Varn Dominion never expected war. Not from Earth. They were used to quick obedience planets kneeling without a fight. Their fleets were massive, their weapons sharp, their name alone enough to end resistance. But Earth was not like the others. Across the sky, burning trails marked the beginning of humanity's answer. The Ember-class warships, black, angular, hidden for decades, rose from underground silos, deep ocean vaults, and hollowed mountains. Some were old prototypes. Others were brand new monsters, never tested in real battle. Each one was piloted by AI and humans working together. Ember didn't just use firepower, it used rage, sharpened by silence. And the Varn felt it. In orbit, Commander Kale of the Varn stood on his command bridge, watching Earth's surface. This world had no fleet, he said, confused. No defense, nothing. An officer trembled beside him. It was an illusion, Commander. They hid it from us. Before Kale could speak again, alarm screamed. Behind their ships, dozens of human warships, uncloaked. Project Ember had hacked into Varn sensors. The Varn were looking at Earth, expecting surrender. They never looked behind. And now behind them, fire bloomed. On the ground in Alaska. Inside the old base, Evelyn stood beside a glowing terminal. Signal locked, she said. Begin ashfall protocol. As skies over New York, London, Beijing, and Johannesburg lit up not from alien attacks, but from human defense satellites waking up. Earth's surface shot up laser nets, plasma flak, and railgun pulses. The Varn tried to descend. They were torn apart before they reached the lower atmosphere. Space. Combat. The Ember fleet struck hard and fast. They didn't match the Varn in numbers. But they didn't need to. They were built for this. Every ship had an AI core named Ash, cold, logical, and unafraid of death. Ash 27 took 5 Varn vessels down alone before self-destructing. Inside a carrier's engine. Ash 15 hijacked enemy communications and made the Varn believe Earth's moon was exploding. 10 Varn ships fled and crashed into each other. Humans didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with deception, fury, and silence. Varn flagship, crumbling Commander Kale, gripped the edge of his command chair. They were supposed to submit. He shouted, but his words were drowned by the chaos around him. Humanity was not submitting. They were burning the sky. One of his officers turned to him, face pale. "Orders, Commander?" Kale's voice dropped low. "We retreat." But it was too late. Asho 1, the first Ember AI, sent a simple message across the battlefield. No more escape, no more mercy. Earth after the battle, the Varn fleet was gone. The sky was filled with smoke, broken hulls, and drifting wreckage. Earth stood, scarred, shaken, but standing. People came out of bunkers. Cities turned lights back on. Soldiers and engineers embraced each other. The world had united not for surrender, but for survival. In Alaska, Evelyn looked out at the cold mountains and whispered, "Project Ember complete." She turned to a hidden console. Behind it was another file, Project Cinder, locked, awaiting threat level. Extinction? She didn't open it. Not yet. Final scene. Far across the stars, another species picked up Earth's battle footage. They watched the Varn burn. They saw Earth's silence turn to fury. Their leader turned to his generals and said, "Do not invade Earth." And then added quietly, "Do not even speak their name."